Recording in progress.
Oh, yes. Yep. Okay. Yeah. You have the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. So nice to have all women.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's
I was
nice.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. First, we'll chant an invocation together. I'll chant first, and then you can respond. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Good morning, everyone. So, we're going to read from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 22.
You okay with the sun?
Yeah. So, chapter 5, text 22. Karma Yoga. I'll start by reciting the Sanskrit one word at a time. Ye, he, samsparsaja, boga, dukkha, yonaya, eva, te, adi, antavanta, konteya, na, teshu, ramate, buddhaha. Yehi samsparsaja boga, dukkayonaya evate, adantavanta konteya, nateshu ramate buddhaha. If anyone would like to recite.
Yehi samsparsaja boga,
Yehi samsparsaja boga, dukkayonaya evate, adantavanta konteya,
nateshu
ramate buddhaha.
Yehi samsparasya boga,
dukkayonaya evate, adantavanta konteya, nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Yehi samsparaja bhoga.
Yehi samsparaja bhoga.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Adyantavanta koyante teya.
Adyavanta konteya.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Yehi samsparshaja bhoga.
Yehi samsparsaja bhoga.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Dukkha yonya evate.
Adyantavanta konteya.
Adyavanta konteya.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha. Would anyone online like to recite? Or anyone else?
Sure.
Okay.
Yehi samsparsaja bhoga.
Yehi samsparsajo bhoga.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Dukkha yonaya evate.
Adipanta kanteya.
Adyantavanta konteya.
Natesu ramante buddha.
Nateshu ramate buddhaha. Yea,
Yea,
those,
those,
he,
he,
certainly,
certainly,
samsparsaja,
samsparsaja,
by contact with the material senses,
by contact with the material senses,
bhoga,
bhoga,
enjoyment,
enjoyment,
dukkha,
dukkha,
distress,
distress,
yonya,
yonaya,
sources of,
sources of,
eva,
eva,
certainly,
certainly,
te,
te,
they are, adi,
adi,
in the beginning,
in the beginning,
antavanta,
antavanta,
subject to,
subject to,
konteya,
konteya,
O son of Kunti,
O son of Kunti,
na,
na,
never,
never,
teshu,
tishu,
in those,
in those,
ramate,
ramate,
take delight,
take delight,
buddhaha,
buddhaha,
the intelligent.
the intelligent.
Translation: an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise does not delight in them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasures? In the Padma Purana, it is said, Ramate yogino nante satyananda chit atmani iti Rama padinaso param brahma vidyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajam nri loke kastan kamanarate vibhujam ye tapodivyam putraka yena satvam Sudye Yashmat Brahma Sokyam Tva Anatam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, Those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavai Paskatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's June 3rd, Saturday, and in 10 minutes, I'm born. Or less than 10 minutes. 8:30, 31 years ago, I came into this material world just to share this class with you all. So I thought I would share just like a little bit of what's happened in the Bhagavad Gita so far. What is the Bhagavad Gita? Since there's so many people here. So the Bhagavad Gita, I looked it up because I was like, what does the Bhagavad Gita actually mean? And the Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. So the voice of God. God is speaking. So God is speaking in the Bhagavad Gita. He's speaking to Arjuna, he's speaking to us. And he's speaking to us about life. I asked Prema, and I even asked Drew's here, asked Prema, I said, what do you think the Bhagavad Gita is about? And she said, Krishna is playing. She said something really silly, like, Krishna's playing with us. And I was like, yeah, he's playing with us. He's interacting with us. Everything is so playful for a 5-year-old. So she said, Krishna's playing with us. He's having fun with us. I don't think we experience it that way sometimes. But that was a really sweet response. And then I asked Drew, and he said, I'm quoting you, Drew, that the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna speaking to Arjuna about life, about how to live. So it starts off, so the Bhagavad Gita takes place, it's spoken to, like the Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita to a warrior named Arjuna. And Arjuna is a warrior, and he's on a battlefield. That's how the Bhagavad Gita starts, is you see that there's a battle going on, there's a war. And Arjuna is on one side, and on the other side, there are people. So so Arjuna is being asked to fight. He's one of the soldiers. And not normally, but we would think, okay, he's gonna fight. Like that's his position, and he's ready. But actually, Arjuna, he wasn't ready. And when asked to fight, he had a lot of doubt, and the reason for that is because on the other side of the battlefield, there weren't just strangers or people he didn't know. There was no like impersonal connection to these people. There was actually a very personal connection. These were people that were very dear to him. And so that's what kind of makes this story so unique and so profound, is that he's being asked to kill people that he loves and that he has looked up to, his brothers, his uncles, his family, his teachers. Like, can you imagine like having to kill people that you, not just fight, but like he's being told to kill these people. And so he's in a lot of distress. He's in distress. He's morally confused. He's like, that doesn't seem right. What is right? What is wrong? yeah, he's like lamenting, like we talked about lamenting, like what does that word mean last night, Malika and some other women. And he's like grieving, but he's not just grieving, he's like angry too. He like doesn't want to do it. So that's interesting. And so Krishna's on the battlefield, he's being asked to fight these people he loves, and he says, no, I'm not going to do it. And so he's like, I'm not going to fight, and he throws his bow and arrow down. And that's sort of like where the conversation begins, is Arjuna saying he doesn't want to fight. And so Krishna is there, and at some point Arjuna accepts Krishna as his master. So Krishna is going to speak to Arjuna, he's going to instruct Arjuna, so Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, and Krishna is very happy about this. And I think it was yesterday we actually read that moment in the Gita, like chapter 2, where Arjuna, he says, I'm not going to fight, and then he accepts Krishna, more than just a friend, he accepts Krishna as his spiritual master, and Krishna smiles. And he goes out into the battlefield, and he's ready to share. He's ready to share wisdom with everyone there. Whew. I don't want to kill my grandpa. That sounds really intense. So it's like, this is heavy. And so Krishna's like ready to instruct Arjuna to fight. And so one of the first things that we learn in the Bhagavad Gita is that we're not this body. That's like one of the very first lessons that we learn. We're not this body, so then what are we? We're spirit, soul. We're more than this body. We're distinct. You know, like our body is material matter. That's what Krishna says. Our body is material. In a sense, no different than this table or the floor. And so if our body is just material matter, because we know that it breaks down, right? Like this table, these things will eventually break down. That's the law that happens. They'll get ruined. And similarly, our bodies will be gone one day. We'll leave our bodies one day. We know that's true. And so we're not this body, we're spirit soul. And so if we're spirit soul, what does that mean? It means that there's something in us that is, so we're spirit soul, we're distinct, and that's what Krishna is telling us. That's what he's telling Arjuna. And so our body, coming back to this verse. So then chapter 5 is about karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, and knowing that we're not the body, we're spirit soul. What do we do? Like, if we're gonna eventually die, if we're gonna eventually leave our bodies, what does that mean? Like, what is this life for? I think, Deb, I asked you, remember I said, what's the goal of life? We talked about that. It's a big question. And so if we're not this body, we're spirit soul, what are we doing here? And so Krishna says that the soul is eternal. It doesn't die. It doesn't break down. It's eternal. It's everlasting. It's special. Like we're actually very special, unique individuals, just like every creature is. But we've been given an opportunity, right? We have consciousness. We're intelligent. And so that's why we're here. We're here to talk about our soul. And so Krishna, we're on chapter 5, action in Krishna consciousness. And so I really like this verse. And the reason I chose it, I actually really wanted a verse that felt relevant to like what I'm confronting in my own life right now. which is happiness, like how to really be happy. And what does that look like? How can the soul actually experience peace? And so much of the time, life feels really difficult. Life feels really miserable at times. And so if we're not the body, we're spirit, soul, like how do we experience real peace in this world? So in this text, Prabhupada is he's explaining definitely what's not going to bring us peace, what's not going to bring us happiness. He's very clear about that in this verse. And so actually, I told Rohini, I was talking to her and I said, that's the verse I want, like that's what I want to give a class on, is how to be happy, how to experience peace. And so I literally took the Bhagavad Gita and I opened it up, and just a few verses before this one is the one I opened to, and it was speaking to just that, though. It was speaking to just that. And then I wanted to go a little deeper, so I found text 22. Okay. So let's get into it. How to be happy. And how to be happy in these bodies. That can be difficult, but yeah. So the first line is, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. So what are the material senses? Well, we have five senses. Smell, taste, touch, hearing, sight. And so we have those senses, we know that, right? And so how are we using them? How are we engaging them? That's a big theme in the Bhagavad Gita. Like, how do we use these senses that we've been given, that are so, like, it's, in a sense, it's part of being a human. It's the context that we've been given in these bodies. And so Prabhupada's saying an intelligent person, a thoughtful person, a wise person understands that if we're engaging, if we're using our material senses to, he's saying the sources of misery, it's so interesting because he's not even saying like fun, like take part in fun. He's saying no, misery. Like that's what he's saying. Like it's very clear right there. And so yeah, like the material the material senses are they're agitating by nature. They're just very agitating, right? We're either overeating, we're engaging our sight in things that are violent or harmful. We're listening to bad music. We see that, like, especially with eating, it's like if we're engaging them in ways that are harmful, then we experience that. We experience that misery. And so that's what Prabhupada is saying. And so he's saying such pleasures have a beginning and an end. So he's saying that a lot of people are confused. A lot of people are living their life under this illusion that if they just engage their senses in the pleasures of the material world, then they'll be happy. But Prabhupada's saying that's not true. And there's a beginning and an end, right? So he's saying that they don't last. That's the idea behind this, is that they don't last. They're very temporary. He said it right there, which is temporary. And so something about the distinction between the soul and the body is that the soul, I said earlier, is eternal. It's not temporary. It's everlasting. it's eternal, yeah, but the body is temporary. So he's saying that the sources of misery are due to something that's so temporary, like our material senses. So he says material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. I mean, like right away he's flipping sense gratification on its back. He's like, this won't work. He's like very, and as I read this text, I even shared last night. I was like, wow, like Prabhupada, it's like he just shares it as it is. Like that's the Bhagavad Gita. Like he's just telling you as it is. It's like that's it. It's material sense gratification is as temporary as the body. And so, what is sense gratification? Does anyone know? Or instant gratification. That's like a big thing we hear. That's one of the first things I heard in Krishna consciousness is instant gratification. I want it now. I need it now. Thinking that it will last or thinking that it will bring us happiness. But it doesn't. We see that there's a cap. There's a limit. There's a ceiling to how much we can enjoy in this material world. And so that's important to know that actually we can enjoy the I mean, it's so repetitive, the material things in this world. It's repetitive, but it's true. It's fact. It's real. We see that even as people probably get older, like the ceiling of how much we can enjoy gets lower and lower and lower. Like it is limited. He's saying there's a beginning and an end.
We can enjoy miseries.
Right, we can enjoy miseries forever and ever and ever, but we know that, I know that it doesn't serve me. Like, I can share, what I like to enjoy. It's kind of like the high, right? Well, I don't know. I won't assume you guys have done drugs. I've done some drugs, not a lot, thankfully, but it's like the higher the high, the lower the come down, right? There's always a come down. And that's kind of an extreme version, but it's true. It's like the more we try and enjoy, the farther we drop, the lower we drop. And it could be confession time. We could all talk about what we like to enjoy if you want. We could go around the room and do you want to? No. Okay. I'll share. Yeah. Okay.
Don't you go home?
No, I said I'm 53 and I'm you.
Oh,
How much time?
yeah. So they don't last. Well, I'll share that right, so one of the things that I really like to enjoy is TV. It's like a really difficult activity for me to shake. Especially historical time periods. Like I really like Deb, you're a movie person, you know about movies. But yeah, I like historical periods where they're wearing different costumes and they're speaking in like an accent and it's so sweet, and I like those things. And but I know that if I watch one episode, I'm gonna watch 2, 3, 4, 5, and next thing I know it's 1 a.m. and nothing ever good happens at 1 a.m. Like it's just true. And then the next morning I feel awful. Like I wake up and it's so hard. I feel hungover. I don't want to get up, and it's like that's what it does. It really gets in the way of us being able to feel joy. And like in that moment I'm thinking it's going to give me something, but actually it's so miserable and I feel it the next day. And because I've had some taste of this, I understand that it's temporary. I understand it's just a glimpse. It's just a quick pulse. And that's what that is. So if we're enjoying activities, because this is chapter 5, action, if we're engaging ourselves, if we're engaging our soul in the material pleasures of the world, we're not going to be happy. And that's true. I'm not happy if I'm doing that. Rohini and I talked about it. We were like, we're either fully serving or fully choosing to realize God in every moment, or we're numbing. And that's it. So then Krishna says, so he's saying, knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasures? So it's a good question. It's he's saying false pleasure. It's not good. It's not real. It's not real. They don't last. And then what I really liked about this quote from the Padma Purana, which I'm not sure what that is actually, is he says the personality of Godhead is also known as Rama. And then that got me to kind of research what Rama meant, which I always heard Rama is pleasure. But I was like, wow, it really like put in perspective that personality, like that Rama means pleasure, like Rama means the ultimate pleasure. So I got that Prabhupada was saying that it's not that the soul isn't meant to enjoy, the soul is alone very happy and wants to be happy and gets to enjoy. But how do we actually enjoy? So it is in our nature to be engaged and to have fun and to like, I'm not saying don't have fun, don't be happy, like that is what we want. That is right. Like, I had so much fun this morning. That was amazing. Like, that was blissful, absolutely blissful. And so Prabhupada's saying, like, no, have fun, like Rama, have fun, like we chant that, like if we're chanting that mantra every day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, like we're chanting it every day because pleasure is there, and we get to be seated in that, but we get to be seated in that in spiritual life. Like Prabhupada's saying, spiritual life is happiness. And if we're pretending that that's not true, if we're pretending that the body is ultimately going to be the thing to please or the thing to make happy with the material world, then we're going to be miserable. We're not going to be happy. So we get to be happy in this world, and we get to take delight in the pleasures of the world, but we need to understand what that actually means. And so for me, that was kind of where I went in this text. Like I read it for like one whole day. I really immersed myself in this chapter. And then the next day I was like crying and like just totally, like I was messaging Rohini and Malika, and I was like really in a lot of grief. Like I was like, I didn't even I understood what it was about, but it was like, I was like, why is this all coming out so much? And it actually felt really good. Like usually when I'm like purifying in that way, it's because there's some motivation to like get attention, or there's some, it almost feels like a little petty or something. I don't know, like whiny. Like sometimes I feel like a little 5-year-old. But this felt so purifying. And I realized how exhausted I've been feeling spending my money to enjoy. Like that was a big theme for me. And that totally was just like reading this verse and then like immediately feeling like the purification of it. And yeah, like I really felt like that was what I needed to experience to remember what actually what being happy is about, and what my duty is. And that's what Krishna's talking to Arjuna about. What is his duty? Because if he's a fully capable warrior, like Arjuna is, like he's fully capable, actually he probably knows he's going to kill these people successfully, then like why is he so resistant? Why is he so confused? And it's because of all of these things. Like all of these things are getting in the way of his duty. And so for us too, like it's important to have these conversations. It's important to make these distinctions so we understand we're not the body, we're spirit, soul. And if Arjuna could see, like, yeah, my duty is to fight Krishna, that's true, and to really understand that, then it wouldn't be about the body of my grandfather, or the body of my teacher. It would be about, yeah, like this is what's going to please you, Krishna, and so I'm going to fight. And then eventually he gets there. But yeah, so I like at the end that he says, therefore, those who are true yogis, and I really thought about, okay, so he said, therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the cause of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. And so I thought about, what does it mean to be a true yogi? And for me, I thought, well, it means to go inward. Yogis they're always going inward. They're always in self-realization, and they're contemplating these things. If they understand. A true yogi understands that they can't take pleasure in things that are temporary. They can't take pleasure in things that inevitably break down or that inevitably have an end. And so a true yogi doesn't delight in them. He doesn't take pleasure in them. He goes inward and he seeks pleasure in understanding God and remembering God. And that's what we've done today so far. We've come for kirtan, we chanted, we're listening to this nectar, this beautiful song of God, so that we can remember Krishna. And for sure, like if I'm choosing that every day, I mean, what to speak of every moment, but every day, or every other day, then I'm experiencing real happiness. I'm experiencing, true joy. And I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm pretty tired of. Also, something that was really interesting about the day that I felt like a lot of emotion was coming up was that I kept wanting to enjoy in these ways that I used to enjoy, and I just couldn't get into it. Like I just couldn't, and I was kind of feeling a little depressed about that, to be honest. And I was like, I just want to like scroll on my phone, but like that's not going to make me happy right now. I just know. And like normally that would like make that moment go away. It's so easy to want to numb, or it's so easy to want to pretend that there isn't something on our heart that needs to be seen. And like a yogi, I chose to really give that some attention. Like, what is it? Like, what is on my heart that's getting in the way of me understanding what true lasting happiness is? And so, yeah, like I couldn't do it, and that was kind of hard to like realize that. And also, just like it's not satisfying. And when you realize that the things that you've been doing your whole life that don't satisfy you, you have to kind of start over. You have to kind of consider like what will ultimately allow me to be at peace. And like if that's the nature of who we are, then like some people, it takes them their whole life, half their life, to realize that the ways that they've been serving in this life, or the ways that they've been, because we all want to serve something, and so a lot of people spend their life serving things that are actually the cause of their suffering. So people spend half their life, and then one day, hopefully, they realize that, and it can be kind of heavy to realize that they've been a slave to that. And so it's so amazing that we have the Bhagavad Gita, and that we have these beautiful verses and these beautiful sacred texts, so that we can remember and be guided, and really be guided on like, wow, what, like Arjuna, like what would it really mean to show up in this world, and what would it really mean to serve, and what is my duty, and how can I actually experience real pleasure. And yeah, the more that we engage our senses, and the more that we engage our soul in the everlasting joy that I was talking about, the more attracted we become to the things that are actually the highest, which is, spiritual life, singing to God, offering to God. We offered God flowers this morning. How sweet was that? And so, like, we have to train the soul. Like, yeah, we have to train the senses to understand that that's the joy that we ultimately want in this lifetime. That's what I got. Yeah. What else can I say? Yeah, this is So I will just flip my notes real quick. I really enjoyed like giving, like, preparing for class. That was, you were right. It was like an advanced course. It's so true. Like, and I really actually wanted that. I really wanted to feel stretched in this way, and to really grow. And I felt like so uncomfortably stretched, but also like so much more clear, and like really engaged in this truth. And like I would just be reading the Gita, and I'm like, wow, like all of a sudden it made sense, or all of a sudden I understood, or all of a sudden I could really capture the essence of these verses. And so that was really nice. And yeah, I will take a drink, a sip of water. And so we can take pleasure going in rather than taking pleasure going out. And yeah, just remembering that the more that we go in to truly understand the soul, and the more that we go inward to be with yeah, the joy of that experience, the more that we will continue to experience peace, to continue to experience true connection. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Malika.
Speak truth. There should
Yeah, truth. Well, I would love to continue discussing these things with you guys, and hear like what's coming up for you as I was speaking, as I shared this verse. Yeah.
Do you want to read the verse again?
Yeah, I'll read the verse again. The Sanskrit or just the translation?
You can choose.
Okay. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Let's see what's happening here. There's a chat. Devin says, "Who's that devotee in the window?" It's me. I'm the devotee in the window. I'm thinking. He's being silly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations on your first class.
Oh, thanks.
You did so well. So nice to hear from your realizations and hearing from you on this so auspicious that you really stretched yourself, and you really on your birthday, on the day of your birth, and
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge you, and I
Thanks.
know that you really put a lot of energy and effort this week into, and I know that it was really supportive for you in so many ways. I'm just really inspired. I feel inspired by your effort and your genuineness. You just have a lot of genuineness to really connect and to and I'm inspired by you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for supporting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share because Kara's really
Maybe speak a little bit louder
Sure.
for people online.
Sure, Kara's really engaged me and she's really served me this week because we read from the Bhagavad Gita together. We had lots of philosophical discussions. I mean, it was just like really Kara really served me, like served my bhakti this week too, which I mean, thank you. I really felt like I had deeper realizations this week because of your process, and so I really appreciate you supporting me in that.
Nice.
And yeah, I we were actually talking. We were having a really, really rich philosophical discussion last night. Actually, it was like, okay, we better go because we're getting up early tomorrow morning. But it was like such a great philosophical discussion, and also some really nice realizations. And I think for us both, like I think, and I know for me, I was really connecting with just this kind of empty feeling I've been feeling in treating patients, like in treating my patients, like this empty feeling, like that's I'm working with a coach, an acupuncture coach right now, and she said, who's your ideal patient? And I was like, interesting question. I've heard the question before, but like I really was like, I need time to answer this. She said, well, go through all your patients and look at them, open up your calendar, and then like see what you feel, like what feeling comes up. And so I opened up my calendar and I was looking at all and I was like,
One of them?
yeah, I was just like, just feeling so like, I don't know, lackluster or something. It just felt so. And then the part of me is like, should I be doing this? Like, should I be doing this work? And then I think what what we were talking about last night was that like, yeah, because Krishna's like, this is my work. Krishna's giving me this work, so it's here. It's just, I think that the way I'm engaging in my work is not satisfying anymore. It's just not satisfying. And I do have moments of that, and I think that's where I want to really zero in. And those moments are when I'm giving real healing, when there's real healing happening, and that's when someone comes to me and they're asking me for Krishna. They're asking me for that, and however I give that, however, meet them where they're at and give that to them. That's I think, and it's scary. I feel some fear, going there, because, but, and at the same time, I think that I think what I connected with in our conversation was that, like, I think it's just okay, I'm connecting with this, and now it's just praying to Krishna and asking Krishna to send me those that want the medicine, that kind of medicine, and that naturally that it will happen. I don't have to make anything happen, or I don't have to change who I am or do anything different. It's just I just need to pray and to keep showing that, and to be sincere about that prayer, and then Krishna will provide that for me, and then my practice will transform. And I just think I'm just feeling like, I'm just like, because you're talking about enjoying, enjoying, and that we're doing that. We're escaping. We're enjoying to forget that we're suffering. That we're suffering here. That we're really suffering. So we're enjoying to forget that. And it's like, I'm treating these patients so that they can feel good in their body again. For what? To enjoy. Like, to enjoy. It's like enabling them. It's like enabling someone in the prison. It's like enabling someone to stay in prison, like stay in prison. It's like, it's like to stay in this prison. It's like, let me help your back feel better so that you can keep pleasing yourself and enjoying and forgetting, continuing to forget. And it's like, it's just not.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like satisfying if you're serving them in that way, or if you're serving them to support them to keep being an illusion about what their body's for.
Yeah, and then I'm showing up like just like, so how's your week? It's just like, I don't know, it just feels so like such, and you could say that it's violence, it's like, it's not, it's violence, actually. It's not even,
it's like you're participating in it, and that's pretty disturbing to see as well.
Yeah, but you know what, I'm coming to another new place with it, where it's like, I'm not like, oh, this is so bad, and I'm so bad, and like this other thing. It's just like, this is, okay, I'm just waking up. I'm I'm waking up into Krishna. I'm like, okay, I'm waking up into Krishna consciousness, and I'm like, I'm coming to consciousness, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and okay, and I don't necessarily even have to do anything else. It's like, I can just, it's just, praying to Krishna, and continuing to have that genuine, like, desire in my heart. And I just, that's what so anyway, that's a realization that I had come really more like into fullness during this week with you. So thank you.
It's really inspiring to hear.
Well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
I caught that. And I appreciated a touch of humor at the very beginning when you said that, you took birth in the material world to give this class. I just want you to know that we took birth in the material world to hear you give a class. And we're kind of like your entourage.
Sure.
I also, in hearing some of your confession regarding movie, it did remind me that Srila Prabhupada, I believe on an airplane, there's the pastime, he watched the Charlie Chaplin movie. He was really into it, and he had a lot of fun with it.
Laughter.
So laughter.
Oh, I didn't know
yes.
that. That's
So,
really interesting detail.
So there's an example there, but Prabhupada wasn't lost. He didn't become a member of IMDb and is about translating Bhagavatam to watch endless movies. But in that moment, he took that movie and saw it through the eyes of the devotee, the lessons of the material world, it's the frustrations that you have on. And so, you
That
know,
was like his
he
filter.
remained in Krishna consciousness, and there was no attachment beyond that. He just left this little interesting pastime.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw in that about like watching a movie, depending on circumstance and especially one's consciousness,
Yeah.
you know, could be parlayed. And I also wanted something that came up, just the word attractive came up a couple times, and it's something that I thought about recently, how a double negative is a positive. Double negative is a positive. And so the material world is kind of like Krishna is the all attractive, and there's this world which is distracting us from Krishna. It's kind of a negative, it's distracting us from Krishna. We become engrossed in the material world, then actually Krishna becomes a distraction from the material world. This is the way back, because we're attracted to the material world. So actually the double negative is the attraction to Krishna. That matters. But and
That's, yeah, it's
I
like that.
So, yeah, well, if we're Krishna conscious, we want to be careful of the distraction in the material world. But if we're caught up in the material world, then Krishna is that greater thing that can distract us back to himself. So,
It's a different transcendental relief.
the last thing I wanted to mention, because this really does connect to happiness, because our spirituality, that's the real happiness. And I've been studying the prose of the Uddhava Gita in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam called the Sri Atma Gita. And there's one little part I really like, where Krishna is saying, like, the sun that illuminates the whole world, all this amazing light coming from the sun, that it's not even comparable to the devotee, to the sage that lights hearts. Because this is when our heart is lit, that's how we experience that real bliss, that ourself. It's not this thing that's happy, it's we at our core that are, it's a quality intrinsic to our being to be happy. And that's what we do by hearing Gita and Bhagavatam. So that's the role you're playing right now. So thank you.
Yeah, like nothing out here can really help. It's like spiritual life, love for God, love for Krishna. It's like revealing more of that light, and it's uncovering. That's kind of the visual. Guys, I didn't really talk about what can we do with our senses, practically speaking, to reveal that true happiness. But yeah, like for me, it's because like even with your example of Prabhupada on the ship watching the movie, I think that's what you said, he was on the ship.
On an airplane.
Oh, on an airplane. There's no movies on a ship in the 70s, 60s. Can you imagine? Like Netflix on a ship. It's so stupid.
No smartphone, no internet.
It's such a
No
funny thought.
computers.
Yeah, like, so what's the word? I think dovetail. We can dovetail these material things into something more profound, more spiritual, more more interesting, really. Like, instead of watching, I mean, it's all balance. It's all about sattva guna, it's like we're experiencing that balance. We have a little bit of taste, a little bit of a high taste, and then, a little bit of a low, like just creating that balance. So dovetailing and our activities towards Krishna, into spiritual activities, and and then we get to experience that everlasting joy, everlasting light. And it's so attractive, so attractive. Yeah. Is it Kim?
Yes.
Oh, I've always wanted to meet you.
Oh. I just want to say I did really appreciate your class, and I thought you did a wonderful job. Oh, I thought you did a wonderful job, and I want to thank you for that class. And one of the things that I thought resonated was one of the first Bhagavad Gita classes I ever went to, which was like in 1980.
Wow.
I remember the teacher said, I have bad news for you. By coming to this class, you're probably never going to fully enjoy material life again.
Keen.
Just let that out there. So, same theme that you talked about. So I wanted to say that. And then I wanted to make a comment to Rohini's comment. And one of the things that I was thinking about while you were talking is when you first started out, I was like surprised by what you were saying, because I was thinking, the first thought that came to me was that you were saying, well, I'm giving them healing, but what am I giving them healing for? Just to go out, and enjoy more, But it was funny, when you first started those first few sentences, I was thinking, but you're giving them healing because healing is going to help them spiritually. Because to really share spiritually, they probably need to have some life force, some healing in them, you know what I mean? Because when you're sick, you probably don't share much spiritually. But then you go on to think, well, these people we meet in the world, how much are they doing spiritually, or how much are they giving to God? But, one thing that I always find, at least in my life, is so many people I meet, especially I think about the people that go to the healing house, they are in the mode of goodness. They probably are in the mode of goodness, at least, And a lot of times people show up that you don't know that well, and out of some kind of politeness, they don't really share their spiritual thoughts that much, or what they're doing for God, because sometimes it can sound braggy, or sometimes it just doesn't feel politically correct, But
Religiously correct.
Yeah, so they kind of hide it with this like surface politeness, But I bet you so many of those people that come to you probably do have a spiritual core, and are probably doing things for God. It may be in greater and smaller ways, but when I think of your healing, that's the first thing I think of, that you're healing them to probably spread goodness and I don't know, devotion to God on one level or another. So I just wanted to share that. Came to my mind. So, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, like the intention of healing alone is very powerful.
Very wonderful. It's a beautiful gift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the intention and the container makes a difference. Because I can see I've done healing, not physical healing, but emotionally healing for the last many, many years. And yeah, some people, they go to enjoy with that. Definitely many of them, they go to enjoy with that. At the same time, because the container and the intention, like what you were saying, of the healing, the coaching, the seminar, whatever, is for the real disease, the disease of the material contemplation, then people are affected on some level or another, and we need to trust that. Even so, that's true. Maybe what we do, we take them a level 10 prison, and they go to a level 9 prison after they have done some seminars. The prison is more relishable than the level 10, but it's still a prison, like you were saying. Prabhupada used that example. He said, like, yeah, you can work very hard or try to enjoy and just, move from one prison to the next, but it's still a prison. When we change body, when we go from, so many type of species of life. And still, if the container, if you hold the container, like you said, like really satisfying you by holding the right container, that's having my experience. Even so, sometimes it felt very frustrated to do coaching with people and see that the coaching just increase the level of gratification.
Yeah.
I will have better sex now because I'm not blocked on that level anymore. Or people are attracted by me because I know how to do reflective listening. You know, on and on. You
Like
know,
using
like
that knowledge or those realizations to just continue to enjoy or continue
Or
to
enjoy
do,
better even.
or enjoy better. I mean,
Yeah, so much better.
I'm probably a little guilty of being quiet in that way.
Yeah, I really appreciated your class, Chiara. Yeah, I felt like growing is that there was like a deep realization and philosophical, and I'm so happy to hear that. Because, life is so exciting and stimulating and satisfying when we spend our so-called social life, but our relationship based on like philosophical inquiry. Philosophical inquiry, it's not like we have a response or answer or anything, but being a question and being those philosophical inquiry and discussing, then Rama, like that really deeper satisfaction come.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated that. And I agree, like you have your depths of philosophical presentation, inquiry to yourself, transformation through reading the Bhagavad Gita, which is what the Bhagavad Gita is. It's a seminar. It's not a book. It's not even knowledge. It's transformation. It's about transcendental transformation. And the more we absorb that transformation, the more life change, the flavor of life change.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to share is that you share about serving. And somehow I heard it many, many times, but today I heard it more deeply because you shared it and, like really be careful. What master am I serving? Really to constantly asking, like we are serving all the time. We cannot stop serving. It's our dharma to serve. And which master, like gross master, but also subtle master am I serving? Yeah. And then the last point with Gajendra, I was thinking of, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a balance of recreation. Like a full life, there is recreation. But recreation is quite different than numbing.
Yeah.
Recreation is it's like a complete conscious activity.
Yeah.
And he may be watching, a movie of Charlie Chaplin or a historical movie with people with beautiful, costumes and be like conscious while I'm watching that movie. I'm conscious, and then the recreation feels fulfilling, satisfying, enriching instead of draining and numbing and.
That's the difference. Yeah.
There is you can reflect or whatever, but there is unrest too.
Nandini. Hare Krishna.
Happy birthday.
1 second, let me see if I can turn the volume up.
The volume is up. It should be up completely.
Okay.
So ask Nandini maybe to speak.
Maybe just speak up on Nandini.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday. And thank you for giving this class. I had a big insight. I'm not sure you hear me well.
It's hard to hear you. Are you close to your microphone? I think she needs to mute Kara while she speaks. Mute myself.
Is it better now? Yes. Okay. I had a big insight, and I'm grateful that you chose to give class on your birthday. Because I'm on a vacation, and I got sick, and I lost my sense of taste and sense of smell, and I have a rash on my skin. So like my senses are very are causing pain, difficulty. And this morning, like everyone who's here with me, they went to the place I was most looking forward to go, like a walk along the coast and swim in the sea, and all about sense enjoyment. And I was feeling quite miserable, and I opened Bhagavad Gita to read, and I read in chapter 2 about the senses, about how the wise person withdraws the senses from the sense objects. And I thought, oh wow, like that person doesn't feel miserable. I mean, they choose to withdraw from sense gratification. And when you were speaking about this verse again about the senses, I got some insight. Like I was starting to feel really joyful and blissful and grateful that I get to hear from you and from Bhagavad Gita and from Krishna, to see that, yeah, like I'm not my senses. So thank you for everything you shared.
Rohini said, what a gift you were given.
Yes. In the last I realized it's a gift.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, like even though your senses are like you don't have them, you can't use them right now. Like you're experiencing so much pleasure and so much like sweetness just by being engaged in this transcendental experience with all of us. Jai. Yeah. Of course.
So, like you, Kara, recently I've been feeling exhausted, like just trying to have fun. Like fun.
You are like the epitome of fun though. So
Yeah, I'm like guilty of like engaging you in fun. Like, oh my gosh, I just can't have any more fun.
yeah.
And thinking about planning another fun trip. It's just like like okay, I must like balance out. I must, and this has been very balancing and getting to, like see you in preparation and really we started out by going to Rath Yatra together.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way to Rath Yatra we spoke about like your birthday and what you wanted to do.
That's right.
And it was just seeing like actually quite a journey because it was like, like around our birthdays we get this chance, this opportunity to like, start this new chapter and like set a
like a tone
intention.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw you doing. And within that, there was like a journey of like, okay, do I, want to, no, I don't think I want to just like play and have fun and receive like attention and like pleasure and like, no, it was more about like getting in tune with wanting to receive like spiritual direction and then give, and then like be able to give that. And that's what you're doing here. And then even after, there was a little bit of like, okay, we're gonna, this is like the tone, and this is gonna be like, this is really fulfilling, and then maybe, we'll enjoy after. Like, okay, we made all these plans, and then she came back to like, actually, no, that doesn't feel, like that doesn't resonate. Like this is all I need, or like this is, So it was like still like, and then it was like, okay, this
real party.
And so it was really beautiful, and I really felt it too. Like even in that like participation of it, like I could feel. It's almost like I was like connected with you and what you were feeling, like even though like I was trying, because it was like part of me knows that Karen likes to be acknowledged and to be you don't want to be like just like not attended to on your birthday, you know. So I was like, how can I make it special? And actually, this was the way that I could show up for you
Yeah.
the most, and be able to be engaged. Also, my sense of be engaged and be inspired by.
Monica.
I know, right? So thank you.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, this feels like how I want to have fun with you. And we'll have a lot of other fun. We had a lot of fun at Rath Yatra. I mean, that's
That's our Rishikesha, Rishikena Sevana.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like engaging our senses. We dance for Krishna. We have kirtan.
Yeah.
We eat sumptuous prashadam. We smell roses every day. Who does that? Who dance in the morning like we did? Who chant and sing and smell roses every day? Yeah, it's smell roses every day.
But with higher intention.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for the class. Thank you so much for the class. And I would just had a small note that it came to mind when I heard Gajendra, who was speaking, that like we don't have to be. I mean, I think we should have a healthy fear of getting lost in material entanglement, and at the same time, if we're maintaining some Krishna consciousness, I guess what I'm saying is like we don't have to be like stressed and terrified that Krishna actually abandoned us just because we've abandoned our spiritual nature. I guess I'm thinking like Krishna can reach us and we can reconnect to our soul at any time.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
like there's always the opportunity to just go right back get back on the path, even though it's easier to not entangle ourselves in the gratification of the senses and I was thinking a lot about the gratification of the mind. Like the way that I like to enjoy is everyone around me is like my family. It's like the relationships are peaceful or you know, and I'm like frustrated trying to get that satisfaction of like, can we just have a peaceful home, like, you know. But it's like, hello, like we have Krishna consciousness, we have relationship skills, we like good people, like everything's here. Like, couldn't it just all be arranged to like satisfy my mind and my heart? But no, like we're all conditioned souls, and it's not, it's just not perfect. I just wanted to mention that. But then, and on that note, this morning I had an experience on the note about like we can still be in the magic of Krishna consciousness and of our spiritual life, even though surrounded by material energy. Like I got in my husband's truck, and he had some. He still has like all his old CDs and from the lifetime before practicing being engaged in spiritual life. Sure. So he's still listening to them anyway. He had a CD in the car. It sounded like Depeche Mode or something like that. I don't really know. I don't know that band that well, but it has like this sound.
Something like grungy or something.
Not grunge. No, Depeche Mode's like from the 80s.
Oh.
It's 80s. It was 80s music.
Okay.
Anyway, and I was like, I don't know. The sound didn't really bother me, so I didn't like turn it down. I was like, what is he enjoying from this? And is this good music? Like, I don't know. So I just kept it on. But I was chanting the mantra the whole drive here. I was chanting the whole way, but didn't turn down the Depeche Mode. And during driving, I was thinking of Mother Malini and I are going to meet after the class, like, after Prashad, to just discuss bhakti yoga services and projects. And that, it's like, I don't know where we're going to go in the conversation, but that's like, we're just going to have a meeting. And but I started thinking about what did I want, and I had this idea that was like, what I was like, what I really want to do in service to Prabhupada. I'm not going to share that right now, but I was like, I want that. Like I let my mind go there. And then I thought, I don't know if that would happen, but then I thought, I thought, well, can a girl dream? You know, like, what can I give myself space to at least be with what I want? Like, I don't have to shut it down. Like, that's not possible, or that's too hard, or how, or where, when. Would Krishna even get it to me? But I thought, well, you know, can I dream? Like, can I give myself space to want that? Serve it like a bigger vision or a bigger project. And then the Depeche Mode song, the next one that came on was it was just almost constantly saying, sometimes I dream, sometimes I dream. I don't know, it was like all like kind of like, I couldn't even understand any lyric in between except this one main phrase, sometimes I dream. And I was like, you know, it wasn't bad that I kept it on or that my husband listened to Depeche Mode or whatever that brand is. You know, it's not bad. It doesn't have to be labeled as like good or bad. There's one thing that's good and one thing's like, okay, like sometimes the material energy can support spiritual realization. Yeah. So we don't have to be terrified of everything that's not direct Krishna consciousness or serving God. You know, we can be in the material energy, and it can inspire us or push or motivate, or you know.
Yeah, we don't have to be so like rigid with ourselves about every little material thing we come in. I mean, we're always in contact. Even just having children, and like they're like trying to pull us down all the time with their needs. But yeah, I appreciate that story and that reminder that like sometimes material sound can be inspiration and help us.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the consciousness, your consciousness.
Yeah, it depends on
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a chat. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add something to what you said. Is like when you were sharing, I was laughing because you know, each of us, we have a favorite sense object, the object of our senses and gratification. And then, you know, like for you, it's different than, you know, for Malika or Kara or me. But whatever it is, where we have our favorites, that's where we get the most frustration.
That's so true.
But if, you know, for someone else in that area, that's the favorite. Someone else, if it's not our favorite, we don't care. There's no frustration there. It's just fun.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because when I noticed
You want to tell the computer.
when I go to my mom's house and she's like watching TV, I'm so angry. I'm like, how can you be watching TV in the middle of the day? And it's just like, what?
1 a.m., you know, that's fine.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Things.
But Garuda recently, I was like frustrated with him, and he had some wherewithal to say, oh, I wonder if you're frustrated with me because you have that same quality, or like you have that same like weakness or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe.
So Johnny wrote something, and she said, I've noticed my favorite clients to speak about Krishna. My favorite clients to speak about Krishna and Krishna consciousness are the people who have no avenue of connection with God. They don't know superficially maybe their interests, but I experience so much excitement to speak of eternal things. Thanks for sharing that. Was that Johnny? That was Johnny, yeah.
That seems related to Rohini's.
It is, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Johnny. I like hearing that you speak about Krishna with your clients, that we have a similar path, where we have a similar healing tool, so it's moving for me.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 100% directly related, but I was just remembering something when Damayanti was speaking. And it's, you know, we can have these big desires and then understand how when we're, you know, from that material viewpoint, this thing that we feel we can enjoy that would distract us from the suffering of being disconnected from Krishna. And for me, you know, I had this really huge desires for sailboats. to like sail in the islands. I love the islands and I love big sailboats. It's really passion. Like sometimes I'd even like think of selling my property and getting in a boat and living aboard. And it was like really huge. And I remember, but I remember in 2007, I went into a really deep place coming out of a relationship, and I was going to Mango Arti at the temple every morning for months and months and months. And it was a really powerful time of Krishna consciousness, feeling really high in Krishna consciousness, coping with the situation. And for years, I had been wanting to go to back to the islands and be on a boat. And like out of the blue, like I got a call from a friend. You might have known him, Robin, who's passed away now. Robin and Susan. And he goes like, "Going to the islands. Do you want to come? And your airfare is paid and everything. We're going to be on this 47-foot Beneteau and sail the Exumas and this thing that I had been wanting and trying and scheming. Like I let go of it. I'm in Krishna, and then Krishna just, here it is, arranged for free. And so, you know, I went, and it was good, and there were meaningful things that happened, but I really didn't feel. It was almost like a little bit of a come down from going to Mango Arti. It was really amazing. So it wasn't direct, but something you were saying was just reminding me that, like, yeah, whatever this thing is, we're attached to this idea of how we can be happy in this world. It doesn't fulfill. It really does pale in relation to the energy of really serving Krishna. And what is the real happiness? You know, it is about lighting the hearts of other people, participate in the movement of Sri Chaitanya. We want to. There's nothing higher, and we know we've experienced. Like we're going throughout a day, and things are good, and yeah, there may be the routines of work and TV, and then like all of a sudden Krishna makes this arrangement. We have a chance to like speak to somebody about Krishna, and like that energy is just so. It just purifies. It's just amazing. You know, it's a really special thing that Prabhupada's lit our hearts with. Lit the candles with the hearts.
It's like Krishna gave you your desire. He gave you your desire so that you could realize that it really was there. It's like it was like the perfect timing to receive that. So that you could be like, this is fulfilling. This isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I was almost like, I'm not even sure I want to go. And it had been so important to me.
Yeah.
Became stale.
Yeah.
Material enjoyment only becomes stale. So
yeah, I did the austerity of sailing the Exumas for 2 weeks. It was all that clear water. No, it's an amazing place, but it's like, it just doesn't, any place in the material world, from even Brahmaloka, it's just not going to compare to the transcendental energy of really tapping into Sri Krishna and service. And again, that service, whether we're someone who dwells in the forest and people come to us and we live a life of simplicity, that's still what it is, or whether we're very busy and we're doing business for Krishna and making, but we need to have some context of the Sankirtan movement to really feel alive. I mean, that's it. We know the Shikshastra compares. That's it.
Yeah. Inspiring. Thank you.
Turn the computer towards you.
Thanks for this class. Your stories. It's 9:41. It reminded me of how there were so many times in my life where I thought I wanted something so badly because I thought that was the thing that was going to be transformative or change my life or give me the most pleasure, the most joy. I thought going to California with Drew was going to be life-changing. It was really miserable. And, you know, whatever. And the whole time I was missing Krishna. Like, seriously, I always miss Krishna. Like, this is our home, ultimately. And I remember that. I remember telling him, I was like, we got to go home. And, like, there are so many times. Yeah, that's when I was like, I will never travel for enjoyment again. And there, even with Prema, we've gone to the mountains or whatever, these little trips we've done. If we're not like focusing on Krishna or singing, you know, singing bhajans or looking at the trees and thinking of Krishna, it's like I'm not really satisfied. And I've gotten enough taste to understand that. And yeah, and that's kind of what the next, astrologically speaking, I'm in a nice Saturn-Jupiter period. I've been in a Rahu period, which has been very tumultuous. But just what I needed, I think, to help me get very clear about what's important for me in this lifetime. I mean, I even thought having a daughter was going to solve all my problems. No. I really thought that. I was like, motherhood is the center. Motherhood is to be worshipped, and that's certainly true. But yeah, like it is sweet. It definitely is. I'm very blessed with a sweet child. But yeah, like I pray that the next, well, forever, but for the next 2 years, like I have some very special spiritual goals that I'd love to share with all of you at some point. But yeah, I just feel like I'm leveling up and I'm ready to like take the next step. And this was so much a part of building that trust, and it feels affirming. And so thank you everyone for listening, being with me, and holding the space. So, Hare Krishna. Thanks, Devin, for being here. Do you want to share anything? I don't know if he's... Alright, I'm gonna end this.
Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai!
Prabhupada ki